Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Adam Muazzam. Welcome back to the Inside Football Pakistan podcast, episode 3. I'm joined today by Mr. Hassan Nasir, aka Nasi. How are you, sir?
I'm good. What about you, Adil bhai?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. And we're here today to talk about Jordan, Pakistan.
Jordan, Pakistan.
So, as you are the expert, I would like to ask you first, how are the boys in green lining up?
The boys in green are actually looking better this time around compared to Tajikistan, with the return of Easah Suleman and Adil Nabi in the squad now.
Okay.
And I mentioned this before in my last podcast. Mohid is going to be replaced by, Mohammad Fazl. Mohammad Fazl is more experienced, he's faster, and has a better rate of track back.
As I'm aware, Mohib is not in the squad. He's not even
in the camp.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's deserved that he's not in the camp right now because he did not show any fight. And given he's young, I understand he's young, but even if youngsters make mistakes, they slip up, and they have to show they have the fight in them. They have the grit to represent the nation.
Right.
The main problem I had with Mohib in the match was that he was not tracking back at all.
Okay.
Even on counter attacks, he was jogging back. As a right back, you cannot do that.
Right.
I believe.
Right. And exposing Mamoon.
And the whole right side.
I mean, look at as football pundits, we all have our opinions on every player. Yeah, he's a bit young, a bit to develop, but inshallah, let's see how
we'll see.
Deals with this.
What do you think about Jordan lining up against Pakistan?
Jordan, ab dekhein, I don't want to feed into the negativity frenzy around the idea that they're the finalists of the Asian Cup. Of course, they've made the Asian Cup, so any team in that bracket is a bit above us.
Of course,
anyway, and we have to respect that. That being said, ये जो डर है ना हमारे अंदर के they're the the finalists of the Asian Cup. They were third in their group with Korea, Bahrain, and Malaysia. और ये भी मैं आपको बता दूं कि over the course of the competition, the expected goals that they conceded actually surpasses the expected goals that they scored. I think that they have a lot of fight, a lot of grit, of course a lot of excellent players, but I think that the level that they got to was maybe a little bit lucky. That's not to say कि we're going to beat them or whatever, but मेरे सिर्फ ये कहने का कि हमें उनसे इतना डर नहीं होना चाहिए जितना है.
I believe we have a chance against them because we have Easah Suleman, Abdullah Iqbal. We're actually more experienced than them. At least on club level, हमारे players ज़्यादा खेले हैं.
Right.
जो मैं उनका last AFC वाला squad था, उनके ज़्यादातर youngsters थे और नए लड़के आए हैं टीम में, तो mostly I think उनकी luck तो नहीं बोलना चाहिए, लेकिन luck भी involved थी final तक पहुंचने में.
Right.
Like they gave away 3 penalties in the final, I guess.
Yes.
तो वो inexperience show होता है.
Ek dud before. I think before we talk about the things whereby we can probably expose them tactically, strategically. Ek dud mujhe hai that front three.
Sorry?
The front three.
The front three.
I think anybody that I'm sure you watched the Asian Cup. Ali Alwan, Musa Al Tamari, and Yazan Al Naimat. They look pretty dead. They're not so good in the air, but when you get that ball on the ground, matlab ke
the link-up play and their ability on the ball. We had a problem last time. Again, you mentioned that our defense has been strengthened, no doubt. But Hamena, we were getting run rings around at some points, I would say, by Soyrov and Amadoni Komalov, right? And in the match between Tajikistan and Jordan itself, neither two of those players played, and those three that Jordan had up top were, I would say, miles better. So how do you think we can sort of counteract that? How can we? I've always believed if you have a front three which is more up into more link play involved rather than hold up and stuff and not crossing the ball inside, I believe you have to play more physical with them, put in a sort of fear in them.
Absolutely.
Like Jose Mourinho did in his prime.
Right.
That's the only way, and I think we have the bigger guys are back. Abdullah Iqbal was already there.
Absolutely.
But with Easah Suleman, and we also have a better ball-playing centre-back now. So I think it'll be easier for us to get out of those situations compared to Tajikistan.
Fair. You mentioned ball-playing centre-back because that's a very interesting, is that, so what Jordan tend to do is that they leave themselves very open for the counter-attack, but they drop
they drop back very deep. They won't try and press you in the middle. What they will do is when they have all their players in behind the ball, that front three will press. So do you think that Pakistan would be better suited to try and play those balls out wide or play quickly on the counter-attack, or should we hold it and should we play through the back, considering that 3 players at any given time will be pressing the ball?
It depends on who we play as a pivot.
Right.
Because Easah Suleman has the ability to get out of difficult situations.
Right.
But it depends, because I don't think Rahis Nabi has the situation to play out of high press situations.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's more of a Kante-like midfielder.
Box to box.
Box to box midfielder. So I don't think he has the technical ability, with all due respect, to get out of those situations.
Okay.
If we were to play someone like, for example, even Alamgir as pivot, even though I don't agree with it, but he has the ability to get out of those situations and link up with the defense and drop deeper and play as a third centre back and make play.
Right. For me, again, sorry, I'm gonna dive quickly into the things that strategically we looked at for Jordan, और उसके बाद we can talk about, I think, how we want to counteract that. उसमें ये है कि they like to play very narrow. Their press is slightly disjointed in that their midfielder अक्सर they don't press with the front three. दूसरी ये चीज़ है कि they always, again, like I say, they play very narrow. When they play it out wide, they're always looking up. Al-Tamari is left-footed, he comes in from the right, and Ali Olwan is right-footed, he comes in from the left. I might have mixed those two up, but basically everything is pointed to come towards the middle. They don't like lofted crosses. They don't really, because they know that they don't have the ability in the air. I'm working on an analysis whereby I found that only one of their centre-backs has 80% aerial duel win success rate. Uske alawa wo 60%. And for centre backs, I think that person is very poor.
Of course.
So we have, we were talking about earlier, we have Abdul Samad, we have Faridullah,
Abdullah Iqbal.
We have Abdullah Iqbal.
I think he's going to be the tallest guy on the pitch.
On the other side as well. So I think that we have players that can sort of exploit that. So for me personally, if it's my team, I'm asking my players to go out wide and whip as many balls into the box as possible. Uske alawa bhi, their goalkeeper, his name eludes me, Jordan ka jo hai, he has a very low percentage catch rate. He doesn't tend to catch. He parries, and aksar a lot of the times he's parried into dangerous areas. So if we're able to play sort of that highly aggressive whipping balls into the box, I worry about the front three of Jordan. For me as a coach, what I'm looking for is, can we outscore them? Because I worry that we're going to get scored on.
We're going to concede for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Butt Saab's going to start this time around or not, but he made a few mistakes. I think he made 2 mistakes in the last match as well. I mentioned it in the previous podcast. So I'm not going to be negative and just say that we're destined to concede. But it looks likely, especially with Easah Suleman coming back, and I don't know how he's going to fit in again.
Right.
Even though he looks good with his club. And but still, it's still a question mark, you know.
Right. Sahi. So, okay, if it's given this sort of so you know a lot about the Pakistan football team, a lot more than me, I might say. Given the information that you have on the Jordan team, you know how they like to play narrow, they won't be looking to whip crosses in. They're trying to get the ball into the feet of those front three, and let me tell you as well, it's very. एक तरह से playground football नहीं होता. This is not in any way to be disrespectful towards Jordan. They're AFC Cup semi-finalists. They're an excellent team. लेकिन एक तरह से playground वाला football नहीं होता है कि you know who your best players are and you're just putting the ball down and you're trying to get it into their feet and then the rest of the guys are just. It's like PSG when they got Messi.
When they had Messi.
कि यार the rest of the team is now stood there. इन तीन को दे दो.
PSG at least had Mbappe and Neymar. You're talking about 2018-19 Barcelona. When it was only Messi.
Right. So unka thoda sa hai with their front three is that everybody else, don't get me wrong, they're there to support them.
They're decent.
They're no doubt they're not good football players, but unka zyadatar ye hai ki, you know, let's get it into those front three
attack.
And then they're going to do something special. So and with those players not being very physically, not very good in the air, but I tell you, excellent with their feet. And Yazan, the finisher, matlab ki masha, he was very good. How do you deal with that, with the talent that you have in Pakistan right now? How do you deal with that?
First of all, with the talent in Pakistan, most of the diaspora players are going to start. That's a fact, obviously. So they're experienced. They've played against big players as well. They've played against fast players. They've played against technically sound front threes as well.
Of course.
I think we should uh, rely on low blocks.
Okay.
Park the bus. That's the best option we have right
Absolutely.
now because the team is we're still figuring the team out.
Absolutely.
So the best, we shouldn't take any risks and just start playing like with Pep's Barcelona or anything like that. We can't afford to do that now, especially given how we lost against Tajikistan. We also have to look after our goal difference now. So I think our best option is to play a low block and just go for the counter with Haroon Hamid up front and Otis up front. Just cross the ball to them and
Interesting.
just go for the counter.
How would you ideally, how would this team line up for you?
For me, if it was a perfect world, I'd start Hasib, which is a very controversial.
Okay.
But I'd start him as right back because he's very technical. He's technically very good. You've probably seen him around Islamabad.
Absolutely.
His technical ability, I think, at least in the Pakistani defenders, he's the best technical defender we have.
Right.
And I believed that even though I support Mamoon, but against Tajikistan, with the absence of Easah Suleman, we should have played Hasib.
Okay.
Because he has the ability to pass the ball around and dictate the defense.
Fair.
Mamoon does not have the ability. He's a follower, but he's not a leader.
Right.
No offense, but it's fact. It's a fact.
Because camera में बोल दें. No offense.
पहले फिर हसीब के बाद तो ईसा एंड अब्दुल्ला तो गिवन है.
Right.
और अब वो आगे मोहम्मद फजल आगे लेफ्ट बैक पे वो खेलेगा.
Right.
एंड राहिस इज ऑल्सो ऐसे है ना कि कुछ प्लेयर्स तो ऐसे हैं जिनको आप रिमूव ही नहीं कर सकते ना, जिस तरह राहिस है, हारून हामिद, ओटिस, क्योंकि वो आप रिमूव करेंगे तो बहुत ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन मार्क्स है. तो वो जो पिछले स्क्वाड में लड़के थे वही होंगे मोस्टली. बस मोहिद रिमूव होगा और मोस्ट प्रॉब्ली आलमगीर की शायद जगह ले ले आदिल या कुछ इस तरह.
Right. So I have again. देखें ऐसे होना नहीं है जो मैं कहने लगा हूँ, लेकिन again having looked at sort of Jordan, I would actually want to match up against them 3-4-3.
3-4-3, right?
Yes.
I'm against 4-4-2 as well, by the way.
As in, for me, it's just looking at their strengths. Because look, when you're the underdog, and I think fair to say that we are the underdogs, but if you can adapt to your opposition's game, then you stand a very good chance of beating them. जाहिर सी बात है हम अपनी टीम बिल्ड करेंगे, अपना आइडेंटिटी उसके अंदर बिल्ड करेंगे जरूर, लेकिन right now I think that if we can hurt them where they're weak and curtail them where they're strong, then I think that gives us a very good chance to beat them. So for me, I would want 3 at the back.
3 at the back.
Yes. 3 at the back with 4 in midfield, Adil and Rahis, the Nabi brothers, holding.
Adil is more of an attacking player.
I know, but I think that he's got with Rahis, his box to box ability. I think that they can sort of support each other. Well, also like they're brothers, they have to have chemistry, right? I hope so.
Maybe a question mark if they don't.
Yeah, in the wings, I would actually, because this is what Jordan does, and maybe it's me matching them up man for man, but in the wings I would want wing backs. So you have your Fazal, and on the other side you mentioned
Hasib.
Sorry, you said Hasib. Who would I have it?
Umar Hayat.
I guess
he's the only other option.
With those guys, and what I'd be saying to my team is, just like how you said, employ that low block, and the second you get the ball, somebody make a move out wide, whip that ball out wide, try to make some ground down the wings, and you're whipping crossing. Front 3, I would want Otis with our two big boys,
Samad and
Farid. Because I think that we can get at them. I think that we can get at them in the air, and if we're lethal on the day, I think that we can score some goals against them as well.
I agree with you, but I feel like Otis should be wider on the pitch, because I remember versus Tajikistan as well, Otis was providing a lot of support for the left back as well.
Yep.
So I believe he should be wider, and Haroon should be in the team, because we don't have anyone else who has the ability to take on defenders and win one-on-ones.
I see. The thing is, I agree with you. I really do agree with you. But for me in that situation, I would say a class player. By the way, I really like Harun. But for me, I would say as a super sub, when you've sort of tired the other team down. Also, a lot of
Going to be a hot day as well.
it's going to be a hot day, and a lot that's going to play into this is the stamina of the boys. Of course, there's a lot of talk about 5-day training camp, but diaspora players वो तो खेल रहे हैं अभी उनका season तो चल रहा है. तो
आदिल राहेस तो बड़े hot form में आजकल उसकी मैं highlights देखता हूँ.
Absolutely. तो वो बात है कि can we work hard enough, can we run long enough? If we can do that, और मेरा तो base यही होता है कि यार अगर और कुछ ना हो तो outwork your opposition.
ऐसी बात है.
If we can do that, again, I don't want to eat my words here, but I think that if we put in the type of performance that we're capable of and we work hard enough, so I can potentially see a positive result here. I can.
Yeah, I agree with you. We were talking about Jordan's inability in the aerial department. So yeah, I agree with you. If we catch them in the air, and if Stephen realizes that, which he will, he's an experienced coach, of course. So we have a very decent chance at beating them. And of course, I keep saying this with the return of Easah Suleman, but people don't realize how important that actually is, because he is the one who runs the team.
Absolutely.
So without him, we're lost. You could see in the match versus Tajikistan. So this is a very important match for Easah Suleman's future in the team as well, and Pakistan's future as well.
This is a very sort of I believe football purist वाली बात जो आपने बोली वो ये है कि of course the technical physical ability that he brings to the team वो चीज़ अपने जगह है. But it's like you say, he's the motivator, he's the driving force of the team. He's a very, very big character within that dressing room. He brings a lot of experience from abroad as well with him. So that will, of course, is going to make a huge difference. Or let's see.
So Adil bhai, मैंने पूछना था आपसे.
जी.
You've been following Jordan. You've been following AFC as a whole, right?
Absolutely.
तो Jordan में अगर आपने obviously front three तो आपने mention की है.
जी बिल्कुल.
एक player अगर आपने सोचना हो कि यार ये बंदा है, इसको अगर हमने न्यूट्रलाइज कर लिया, वो वन प्लेयर जो मतलब होता है ना, इसको न्यूट्रलाइज कर लिया, आगे मसले नहीं बनेंगे, मतलब हमारी डिफेंस में मसले नहीं बनेंगे.
यार एक प्लेयर मैं नेसेसरी में कह नहीं सकता हूं, दैट्स व्हाई इट्स एन इशू.
एक तो होता है ना, वो फ्रंट थ्री में एक ग्लू होता है, आप समझ रहे हैं? तो वो
द थिंग इज कि वो मैं आपको बताता हूं, अल्तमारी देयर नंबर 10.
आप अगर बताना पसंद करेंगे ने कि किस तरह का उसका प्ले स्टाइल है, क्या
he's an incredibly good dribbler. He's very, very quick. He has excellent balance as well. And वही एक player होता है ना कि he receives the ball and he's immediately looking to drive the team forward. And also a player with high dribbling ability that has a high percentage of completed dribbles. ठीक है, and he doesn't lose the ball that often. अक्सर ऐसे होता है ना कि यार भाई you have कोई बहुत एक अच्छे player हो टीम के अंदर, आप उसको बॉल दें, वो 10 बार में से 5 बार बॉल आगे कैरी करते हैं, 5 बार बॉल लूज कर देते, but you give him that allowance because you accept कि यार भाई he's the player that's going to make something happen. With Tamari, it's very different in that he's very quick to recognize when there's nothing to be done. So he will pass off the ball. He doesn't lose the ball that often, but if you give the ball to him in a dangerous situation, तो he's deadly. And उसके ऊपर then of course again, the reason why I say कि मैं आपको एक player नहीं दे सकता हूँ is because Al-Tamari did it best, I would say, in the AFC Cup. But you can see in Yazan and you can see in Ali Alwan that if you focus on one player, those two other players can also. Ali Alwan didn't score in the AFC Cup, though he did kind of go under the radar a little bit. But he's ridiculously good. The guy's like 6 foot, and he sprints like a gazelle. He's not so strong, but he's got excellent balance. Same like Yazan. Yazan scored 4 goals. So these guys.
Basically, वो Giroud वाला रोल प्ले करता है, फ्रांस के लिए जो Giroud रोल प्ले करता रहा है 2018 वर्ल्ड कप में.
कौन Alwan या
Alwan?
Difficult to make that comparison because it's a completely different play style. But in terms of statistically, what he brings to the team, yes, absolutely, he's the guy that's sort of. He's bringing other people into the game as well. तो वो तीन जो है ना.
मैं सोशल मीडिया देख रहा था तो काफी लोग ये बात कर रहे थे कि जॉर्डन का इनएक्सपीरियंस बहुत है, तो वहाँ पे भी हमारे लिए एक प्लस पॉइंट है। तो इसके बारे में आप क्या कह सकते हैं, गिवन कि इस इनएक्सपीरियंस के साथ भी इवन विद लक वो वहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं जहाँ वो एएफसी में पहुंचे हैं। तो ऑब्वियसली आप क्या कहते हैं इस बारे में, कोई डिफरेंस बनेगा इनके एक्सपीरियंस से?
यार एब्सोल्युटली, देखें अब ये तो फुटबॉल वाली बात आ गई, एंड स्टैटिस्टिकली स्पीकिंग लुक इट्स लाइक यू मेंशन्ड बिफोर एज वेल कि दे गिव अवे 3 penalties against Qatar, and I'm pretty sure at least 2 of them I can remember they gave away against Afif, who is, as we know, one of the top players in Asia. Lekin, you know, like I think that you kind of have to understand कि यार भाई at what moment can I get the ball from this player and what moment I can't. तो वो बात है definitely.
इसमें तो पाकिस्तान भी जो है कभी कभार सफर कर जाता है इस मामले में।
Absolutely, and क्यों सफर करता है? Inexperience, right? तो बात वो समझ आती है। Again, the way that they come forward and their problem solving is, I think, excellent. Coming forward, I would say that their problem solving and, you know, वही experience वाली बात जो आपने की, going backwards, that's why I say कि यार देखो हमने इस चीज़ के ऊपर, of course we need to be defensively solid, otherwise if we're not defensively solid वो 10 मार देंगे हम पे,
ऐसे ही
ठीक है? तो we do need to be defensively solid, but me personally thinking as a coach, I would be thinking, okay, let's say in my mind कि इनने 3 गोल मारने, तो मैंने इनके ऊपर 4-5 गोल कैसे मारने हैं? And again, I know that it sounds like oh
5 गोल
कौन मारेगा आपका? Yeah, exactly. But कर सकते हैं.
The team is stronger this time पे ना, we have the attacking prowess of Adil Nabi.
Absolutely.
और they're not as strong as Tajikistan is physically, aerially. तो वो आपने खुद ही मेंशन की थी ये बात, तो of course हमारे पास अब बेहतर चांस है। I see this as a better chance to win a game compared to Tajikistan.
बिल्कुल। और असल में पाकिस्तान फुटबॉल के बारे में, अगेन you're the expert in पाकिस्तान फुटबॉल, मुझे थोड़ा सा आइडिया है पाकिस्तान फुटबॉल का, ये कि we are a wild card. ठीक है, लोग हमारे रैंकिंग और हमारे जो फुटबॉल डोमेस्टिक स्ट्रक्चर देख के ना, obviously people think, oh यार पाकिस्तान कैसे कुछ कर पाएगा, but you don't realize कि हमारे जो टैलेंट है ना, वो सारा अब्रॉड वाला टैलेंट जो कि वो स्टार्ट कर रहा है, ठीक है? You don't necessarily know what these guys are capable of. Some of our players जो कि टीम के अंदर खेल रहे हैं play at a higher level than a lot of players that they're playing up against on the international scene. जो बात है वो अलग बात है कि how can they gel with each other, how can they play in a way that is conducive to bringing results. But we have talent. So again, I get the feeling that when this goes out, after the result, if we don't do as well as we'd hope, I'm going to get clowned.
No, you're not going to get clowned. People have started understanding our point of view as well.
But I would say quietly hopeful. कि हम ना, and of course I'm going to be there supporting my team.
Of course we all are.
और इंशाल्लाह मुझे उम्मीद है कि I think that कुछ कर लेंगे.
मुझे तो लग रहा है कि नैरो विन हमारी हो सकती है.
Possible है.
कॉर्नर आया है और ईसा सुलेमान बस आया और धुश.
वही ये this is
बस हमने पार की हुई है, पूरे मैच हमने तंग किया हुआ है बस.
Absolutely.
I imagine that happening.
I again, for me, I think they'll score. I do think they'll score. If we're up to it on the day, I think that it's very possible that we'll score just as many, if not more. Inshallah.
But I think it's time to cut off now.
Yes, absolutely.
Pleasure talking to you, Adil bhai.
Pleasure is all mine. Nasi. And thank you all for joining us as well. And we look forward to having you back on another podcast soon, inshallah. And in the meantime, from all of us here at IFP, we urge you to stay safe, stay calm, and support Pakistan.
Thank you.